You have heard the reputation: reliable, unkillable, a weapon so simple that a child can operate it, and in too many places around the world, one has. The AK-47 has appeared in every jungle conflict, every desert insurgency, every street revolution since 1949. It is on the flag of Mozambique. It is the background noise of modern warfare, so familiar that most people stopped asking questions about it decades ago. The assumption that follows is that the AK-47 is a primitive weapon, a Cold War blunt instrument. Simple because the Soviets needed something they could stamp out of sheet metal and hand to conscripts. That story is satisfying because it puts the AK in a box, crude tool from a cruder era, superseded by everything that came after it. Here is what that story leaves out. Every serious military engineering program since 1947 has tried to improve on the AK-47's core operating mechanism. The Soviets tried, the Russians tried, the Americans tried and spent billions doing it. Not one of them succeeded in replacing the mechanism Kalashnikov settled on in 1947. The name for what he found is a long-stroke gas piston, and it is still inside every AK derivative on Earth today, including the rifles Russian soldiers carried into Ukraine in 2022. If you want the engineering left in, you know what to do. The story starts not with Kalashnikov, but with the problem he was handed in 1945. The Soviet army had watched the Germans field the Sturmgewehr 44, the world's first true intermediate-caliber automatic rifle. They wanted one, and they wanted it in 2 years. What Kalashnikov submitted was not, strictly speaking, original. The long-stroke gas piston was already proven. The American M1 Garand used a variant. The Soviet Degtyaryov DP-27 machine gun, in service since 1927, used one. Multiple independent engineering lineages across multiple nations without coordination kept arriving at the same mechanism. That convergence is not an accident, it is a signal. What Kalashnikov added was not invention, it was optimization. He stripped the long-stroke gas piston down to the minimum parts that could still do the job, then built an entire rifle philosophy around that choice. The tolerances between moving parts were deliberately set wide. Not because Soviet manufacturing could not hit tighter numbers, but because Kalashnikov understood that in a mechanism subjected to mud, sand, extreme cold, and the carbon residue of thousands of rounds fired without cleaning, precision is not a virtue. Precision is a liability. By 1949, the AK-47 was standard issue. By 1959, the AKM arrived lighter with a stamped receiver and the same long-stroke gas piston. By 1974, the AK-74 chambered a smaller cartridge for better accuracy, the same long-stroke gas piston. Every improvement for 40 years changed the caliber, the furniture, the receiver. Not one touched the core mechanism because every engineer who looked at it reached the same conclusion. It worked, and they did not know how to make it work better without making it worse at something else. To understand why, you have to understand what the long-stroke gas piston is actually doing at the physics level. When a cartridge fires, the pressure that pushes the bullet down the barrel also bleeds gas through a port drilled into that barrel. That gas slams into a piston. In a long-stroke system, that piston is physically attached to the bolt carrier, the component that manages chambering and extraction. The piston and bolt carrier move as one unit through the full operating cycle. One mass, moving together. That combined mass is the critical detail. The bolt carrier assembly alone weighs approximately 560 grams. The piston adds to that. When the gas fires this assembly rearward, it generates momentum that does not care about friction. Dirt in the action, the mass keeps moving, carbon fouling around the bolt. The mass keeps moving, sand from a desert floor. The mass keeps moving because the physics have already committed to a direction with more than enough energy to complete the cycle. The bolt carrier also rides on two narrow rails inside the receiver rather than inside a tube. A tube-mounted carrier contacts its housing along its full length. Under fouling, friction builds across every contact point simultaneously. A rail-mounted carrier touches the receiver at only two narrow lines. Debris has space to move away rather than accumulate. The rails are, in the language of tribology, the study of friction between moving surfaces. Self-cleaning. Not because they repel debris, but because they give it nowhere to grip. These three elements together, the mass momentum of the long-stroke piston, the self-cleaning rail geometry, and the wide tolerances, are not separate features. They are a single, integrated system. Remove any one and the others lose their effect. This is precisely why every program that tried to beat it ran into the same wall. In 1966, the Soviet Army opened a formal successor program. The goal was not to fix a failure, it was to solve the one thing the long-stroke piston genuinely costs: accuracy. The combined moving mass disturbs the weapon while the bullet is still in the barrel. The muzzle moves. At close combat ranges, it is manageable. At longer precision fire ranges, it mattered. The AN-94, developed through the 1980s and the 1990s by Gennady Nikonov, fired 2 rounds before recoil forces reached the shooter, a system called blowback shifted pulse. Technically extraordinary. It was also heavier, more complex, and substantially less reliable in field conditions. It was never adopted for standard issue. The AK-107 used a counter-moving mass to cancel the reciprocating impulse. It worked in the laboratory. In field trials, the balanced recoil system failed when subjected to the impulse of an underbarrel grenade launcher, standard equipment in Russian infantry doctrine. The AK-107 was withdrawn. The Americans discovered the same wall from a different direction. The M16, fielded in Vietnam, used direct gas impingement, a system where gas travels through a tube directly into the bolt carrier with no piston at all. Fewer moving parts, lighter reciprocating mass, better accuracy. It also blows hot, carbon-laden gas directly into the action with every round fired. In the jungles of Vietnam, under ball powder ammunition that produced more residue than the rifle's specification assumed, M16 chambers corroded and bolts stuck. Soldiers were prying cartridge cases out with cleaning rods. Congressional hearings began in 1967. Cleaning kits were issued. The chamber was chrome-lined in later production. The rifle became reliable, but the Army had to acknowledge, formally and in public, that the direct impingement design was sensitive to conditions the AK-47's long-stroke gas piston ignored entirely. So here is the question. Drop it in the comments. If reliability and simplicity are the same engineering problem, why does the US military still carry a rifle built around a system that blows its own gas back into its action? The AK's loose tolerances are not a manufacturing compromise. They are a deliberate design decision that only works because of the long-stroke piston. The piston generates enough mass momentum to cycle through fouling that a short-stroke or direct impingement system cannot push through. The wide tolerances give that fouling somewhere to go. The self-cleaning rails ensure it does not accumulate in the bearing surfaces. The system works only when all 3 elements are present in the same rifle. Every modern competitor, the HK416, the SCAR, the M27, accepted some version of this trade-off. Not because their engineers failed, because the trade-off was accepted deliberately in exchange for precision, ergonomics, and modularity. The AK was not designed to be the best rifle. It was designed to be the last rifle standing, and that is an entirely different engineering problem. The AK-12, which Russian soldiers carry today, was officially adopted in 2018. The receiver is modern, the furniture is new, the optics rails are a 21st century addition. The long-stroke gas piston is identical to what Kalashnikov submitted in 1947. That is not a failure of imagination, it is the most honest engineering verdict possible. The mechanism that was right for 1947 is still right for 2024, not because nobody tried to find something better, but because what Kalashnikov found was not an artifact of his era. It was an answer to a physics problem, and the physics has not changed. Kalashnikov did not invent reliability, he invented the engineering argument for it, and nobody has won that argument in 77 years. Here is the real question. If the most advanced rifle programs on Earth keep arriving at the same mechanism, what does that tell you about the limits of optimization? The engineering is always the story. We just show you where to look.